Hey, sports writers, it's your old pal Coop here. It's come time now for many of you pundits to argue over who gets the specially presented and highly coveted MVP award. With Joel Embiid out for 2 to 3 weeks with a bone bruise and LeBron seemingly going puppy mode the second half of the season, and other players suddenly bursting onto the scene and magically becoming a part of all of your MVP conversations, it seems you have all completely taken Joel out of the race. One question, though. Why is Joel being out for 2 to 3 weeks suddenly spelling doom for his chances? Sure, at a glance, it would seem that this unfortunate break for an extremely talented center could spell opportunity for other players like Jokic, Luka, Dame, and LeBron to make up some ground. But let's take a look at the 76ers when Joel Embiid is absent. 2-5. That's not the best record, right? And isn't one of the factors that makes the MVP so important is that it indicates the best player on the best team categorically? I think so. At least, that's what the illustrious history of this award has shown us. The only other players I could think of that are remotely similar positions are Donovan Mitchell, LeBron when the Lakers are healthy, and James Harden for the Nets. We're talking about a player that makes the best team and is the best player on that team. And right now, Joel Embiid is a prime candidate. So try not to look at this absence as a negative. I know you guys struggle with that. But try to look at it as a positive. Joel being out, depending on how the 76ers perform, could be a mark towards him and not against him. If the team suffers and even drops to the second seed in the East, it's very possible. The Nets are only 1 game back. That's how you know categorically that Joel Embiid is the best player on the best team that makes said team the best. End of discussion. You guys got to do better. Be more objective. This is Spreading the Floor, episode, what is this, 45?
45, baby.
45. I'm your host, Jacob Cooperman. Hopefully I didn't bottle that up too much. Directing me to my left,
Nigel Petty Fernandez.
And we got to talk about this Kia MVP race. I also did want to talk about the fact that that DraftKings took down the MVP odds, and while the MVP ladder is usually put out every week,
yeah,
it's been about 10 days since the last one. So
I noticed that.
You could tell that Joel Embiid being out kind of really threw a wrench in everyone's plans, including the NBA analysts. A lot of the analysts that I watched this morning while doing homework for this podcast were in shambles. They didn't know what to do.
Right. Well, a guy's having an MVP run, an MVP season, which, you know, we both agree that right now it definitely is Joel Embiid. And this guy gets injured for the foreseeable future, looking like he's going to miss 2 weeks to a month. Everybody freaks out. You know,
right.
Is he going to come back at the same level that he was before? Is he going to be tired when he comes back? Is he going to be rusty when he comes back? What is this 2 weeks going to do to the team that he's on? Are they going to drop so low that we have to take him out of the conversation? So right now, everyone's running around. Everyone's going crazy.
Like headless chickens.
But I think you make a great point that if the 76ers record does suffer, that's almost points towards Joel Embiid. You know
I think so.
Even if your team is second seed in the East, I think that you still should have a chance to be the MVP. You know what I'm saying? The best player in the best team.
It's such a dog. It's a dog fight right now in the East.
Well, what I think's happening, straight up, I think that there's a narrative in the NBA that James Harden deserves it more than anybody else. James Harden's been playing out of his mind, yes, of course.
I don't think he deserves it more than anyone else, but I think there's a strong conversation. I think he should be higher up the ladder than he is.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. I think that he's making a very strong case. I think he's making a very strong push.
Right.
And I think that fans in the NBA and NBA analysts want to ride that James Harden wave. Yeah, James Harden gets a second MVP. It'd be huge. It'd be big news, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but Joel Embiid, he's in the last couple of years at least, you know, people have been talking, oh, Joel Embiid's good, but he can't do that, you know. Joel Embiid's not this. Joel Embiid. There's kind of been a narrative against him simply because of the 76ers' performance in the playoffs.
I also think the fact that he just had, like, he's kind of done that to himself, I feel like, in a way, where it's like he doesn't show up necessarily in the best shape, so a lot of people tend to question his competitiveness, his willingness to get it done. But this year he showed up in shape. And he's been having one of the best years of his career.
Yes.
You know, a lot of, like, I'm telling you, that's part of the reason why there's a narrative against him. I also love the point that you brought up about the 76ers. Yeah, in past years, you know, trust the process has kind of become just a meme.
Right.
And a lot of people are for lack of a better term, not trusting the process. They don't put a lot of faith in that team. I was actually one of those people. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I was one of those people. I thought that they wildly overpaid for guys like Tobias Harris, even guys like Ben Simmons. I think he's elite. I don't, we could have that maybe conversation post-podcast, but what that Wizards commentator said about Ben Simmons being overhyped, that's absolutely ridiculous, even though he doesn't have a 3. I think he's just regularly hyped.
Yeah.
But, again, we don't want to go off on too much of a tangent.
Right.
But, yes, there has been this narrative against Joel Embiid in past years that for a multitude of reasons, for a barrage of reasons, he hasn't been able to get it done.
Yeah. Well,
not a narrative that he hasn't been able to get it done, but just the narrative that he's not,
as good as we all made him out to be when the 76ers were coming up, because everyone was excited that the 76ers were finally going to be good. And then that window started closing, and like we said, one thing led to another. Joel Embiid just was looked at as like, wow, you had it, you know what I'm saying? But now there's a lot of competition. Like, the window is probably closed by now, which is a conversation for a different time. However, that doesn't mean that Joel Embiid's not having an MVP season. That doesn't mean that we should take him out of the equation because of a 2-week absence. What's the strongest case against Michael Jordan for not being the greatest of all time? That the Bulls didn't suffer that much when he left. Right? That's why we go, oh, LeBron's the greatest because the Cavs were the worst seed, and then when he left, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the conversation.
Right.
So, we don't want the 76ers to start winning more games now that he's gone. That's the opposite of what we want. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm sure 76ers fans would like that. But if you're talking about strictly for the MVP race, and for guys that are actively caping, I don't want to say caping, but actively in Joel's corner.
Right.
I feel like the best indication for me, and I don't think that the media sees it like that.
Right.
I think the media sees it as, he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. LeBron's not going to be taking any breaks the second half of the season. Let's just write him off. We got guys like Nikola Jokic. He's going crazy with triple doubles this year. He's another big. There's another narrative there for a big to win it since Shaq did.
Is Jokic a center?
Center, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So there's another narrative there, and I think a lot of media just says, because let's be honest, it's a what have you done for me lately type of media.
Yeah.
And a what have you done for me lately type of league.
Absolutely.
So the media, when they see this guy out for 2 to 3 weeks, it's like, oh damn. Even though there's no structural damage in the MRI that they showed, so he'll probably come back fine.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, oh man, 2 to 3 weeks. That's what. They play nearly every day, right? So that's
every 2. He's gonna miss a couple games definitely, and it's gonna make him suffer because it is a shortened season.
Right. So there is that aspect of the argument, but I feel like I said, it's a knee-jerk media. It is a what have you done for me lately media, and lately, as of right now, Joel Embiid is unfortunately out. He is injured. So it's gonna. I could have told you that the media was gonna say that, man.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's like, let's not. I mean, I could see maybe having him go down a few spots in a week or so once we see the actual results.
Right.
Of how other players are doing, but to take him out of the discussion categorically immediately.
Yeah.
Before any, you know what I mean? Before any other games have been played, it's ridiculous. It's so. I don't get that. I couldn't understand that.
I truly believe that, and you bring up Shaq. The last center to win the award was Shaq in the year 2000.
Yes.
Historically it would be big. I think this season's very special because we have 2 centers,
right?
That are actually competing for the award that are very close. I think that the NBA, the people we're just not ready to accept the fact that the center is making a little comeback over here.
Could be
in the thing. We got James Harden's playing great, Kyrie Irving's playing great, Kevin Durant's playing great. Yeah, fine. We could give the best player on the star-studded team. For years, we could give James Harden the MVP for the last decade if you want to. That's how well he's been playing. But this season right here, man, Joel Embiid's been able to get it done with the same talent that he's been with for years. You didn't have to throw other guys on that team, other stars, other generational players to put him in that conversation.
Right, and he has a strong team around him, but still, it's been the Joel show. And I honestly think that the 76ers are really going to feel his absence. In terms, defensively, offensively, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So this is what we want to take away to this podcast. Joel, if you're listening,
come back and tear it up.
We believe in you. We're putting our money on you. We're Joel.
I still have him as the MVP.
No, absolutely, I do too. I mean, look. Of course, do we want to give it to LeBron? Of course, we want to give it to LeBron. But Joel is the clear, deserves it more than anybody else right now. And you know what? I'm excited to say so.
It's a smaller time, and I almost feel like real quick because we got about 20 seconds left.
Go ahead.
I think in the smaller time frame, because that's also a conversation or an argument that people use against him. In the smaller time frame that we've seen, Joel, he's done a lot more than the other MVP. I feel like.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So in a shorter time frame, he has been able to do more. But with that, we have to bid you adieu. Farewell. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for tuning in today.
Stay tuned for the post-pod segment, baby. See you guys.